Good morning Year 5, it's Miss Slater here today. It is Monday the 8th of February. Today's lesson we are going to decide whether to use the suffix "able" or "able" at the end of words. Now I know last week you looked at the suffix "able" at the end of words and hopefully you can remember some of those rules, especially if the word was ending in "e" before adding that suffix. So in my hand here, I've got some words either ending in "able" or "able. First job, we're just going to sort through them. So we've got agreeable, desirable, valuable, terrible, the "able" ending there, likable, visible, invisible, the opposite, the antonym, incredible, horrible, enjoyable, sensible, possible, flexible, forcible, washable, payable, livable, believable, and irresistible. Okay, next job, I am going to see if I can see any full words with each word before adding the suffix. So terrible is ter, busy, I know it comes incred, horror, irresist. So irresist is a full word, the root word, irresist. It makes sense on its own. Irresist, sense, no, invis, no, pos, no, flex, no, and force. Now this word here, the force, isn't a word on its own because we just got F-O-R-C. We would need the E there. Okay, so I'm not going to class that one as one. Next up, this time I'm going to look at the words ending in able to see if I can see any root words that are complete words that make sense on their own. So the first one I've got is agree, desert, no, value, no, enjoy is a complete root word, believe, again this one is missing the E off the end, so I'm not going to count that one either. We've got live for livable, pay, wash, and like. Okay. Just looking at the two together now, I've only got one from the able pile which had a root word that made sense on its own. And over here in the able pile we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So if you're struggling to decide whether it's able or able, if you can spot a word that makes sense on its own, it is more than likely an A-B-L-E ending. Let's take a closer look at some of these words ending in able. Last week you were looking at dropping the E before adding I-B-L-E, for example here on the word forcible. Okay. Also you did that for the word sensible. Okay. This time over on the able side, we've got some words that have kept the E and then some that haven't. Okay, so if we look here, we've got livable, payable, I'm just going to put there, washable doesn't end in an E, neither does enjoyable. Valuable has dropped the E. Desire, coming from the root word to desire, has dropped the E, but yet these ones have kept the E. Have a little think. I wonder why that could be. Okay, just get my whiteboard pen here. If we look at, especially these two here, we've got what we call that split I sound. So if I was to take the E out of likable here, I was to write that, how would that now read? Does it look right? It would read as lickable. Without that I sound, I don't get the word like, likeable. The same as livable. got to have that long I sound there. Next set of words here, where we have dropped the E, we've got desirable, which comes from the root word desire. Desire, again it's got that split E sound, but this time it has dropped the E. Desirable. Okay, we don't need that long I sound in there for that word still to make sense. Here we've had the root word value. Not a long I sound in there. Got the oo sound at the end. Valuable. So we drop the E and add A-B-L-E. The same for believe. We've had to, oh, sorry, just get that in the screen there. We've had to drop the E each time before adding the word able. Okay, let's just recap. Remember, our learning objective was to decide whether to use able or able. Okay, we found that if the word is the root word makes sense on its own, for example, pay, wash, live, like, it is usually ends in an able word. Okay, and some of those words keep the E before adding that suffix. Okay, always say to yourself, does it look right? If I take that E out, how does it sound when I read it? Okay, good spellers think about what it looks like. Does it look right? Have I seen it look like that before? And also read the words that are there, the actual sounds, not what you think it says, actually reading what is there. Then we've also that good old rule of dropping the E before adding. Again, we've got it here for desirable, valuable and believable. Now, when we were looking at the able words, there was only, English language always likes to do this, have an exception to the rule. The only word in our little pile of words here which had a root word that made sense on its own was irresist or resist here. Okay. If we just continue to look at the root words here with able, a lot, we've got forcible and sensible. They were two, sorry, just get the camera on there. They were two that way you had to drop the E from the root word. Okay, all the rest. Oh, flex is another one actually, sorry, I've just spotted. Flex makes sense on its own, but it's not over on this pile here. Flex, to flex your muscles. Okay, so, okay, you're about to spell a word. You need to decide, does it end in able or able? First job, look and see if it has a root word that makes sense on its own. Do you need to drop any letters from that root word? If so, give it a read. Does it read right? Does it look right? More often than not, if it doesn't have a root word, remember there are always exceptions, that makes sense on its own, then it is more often than not the able ending. And sometimes it started as a root word that made sense on its own, but we had to drop the E here before adding that. Okay? Right, boys and girls, your task today is to add either the able or able ending to a list of words on a Word document.